right, guys, my name is Dave. Nice to meet you. Where do I work? MSU, yeah, just down the road at MSU, exactly. So I'm a geologist. What does a geologist do? Yeah. Rocks? Acceptable. Acceptable. Land formations, acceptable. The earth. Formations of the rocks and whatnot. What do a lot of geologists like to study here in Montana? Volcanoes? Yeah, do we have any volcanoes around here? Yeah, Yellowstone, really big volcano. What else do we study in Montana? Mountains. We study the origin of the Rocky Mountains. Yes, sir. Rocks, we certainly do that. But what's in the rocks? What's Montana really famous for? Dinosaurs. Minerals, gold, silver, copper. Someone said dinosaurs. What do you say in the very back? Earthquakes, yeah. Montana is a super earthquake active state. What's the most active state in the United States for earthquakes?
California.
Wrong. Alaska, yeah. Alaska is number 1. What's number 2? California. What's number 3? This one's
Where Dorothy lives.
Hawaii. No. Nope.
The United States.
What did you say? I heard a little voice. Nevada. Exactly. So listen up, guys. Number one is the state of Alaska. Number 2 is California. California, everyone knows about earthquakes in California because there's so many people there, right? So anytime an earthquake happens, there's a lot of attention paid to California. State of Nevada is number 3. Number 4 is Montana. We're the 4th most seismically active state in the United States. We had a big earthquake here long before you guys were born, way back in 1959 down at Hebgen Lake. How many have been down to Hebgen Lake to look at the earthquake damage down there? You know what I'm talking about? Quake Lake and the big landslide that came down and whatnot? Yeah. So in terms of things that geologists study, those were all correct answers. We study all of those things. So I got into geology, and I won't bore you with this story, but when I was a kid, 2 things really turned me on to science. Number 1, the United States decided to put a man on the moon, to put a person on the moon. And so there was a huge, huge emphasis placed on science, mathematics, engineering. And, you know, my generation, when I was your age, the very idea that in a few years we could put an American on the moon, but we need to have people that know how to do arithmetic, mathematics, chemistry, physics, geology, biology, all of these subjects, it just really turned us on, you know. If we're going to do this, we need to do our homework, we need to study science, we need to study math, and that was a major call to action. One other thing really turned me on. What would that have been? Can you think? You'd have to know some history here, but it was the idea of putting a man on the moon, and then also, yeah. Would have been what? Yeah, technology was certainly coming on board back then, but nothing like it is today. Well, it was 1963. And in 1963, I mean, that was a million years ago, but I was 13 years old. And in 1963, that's when the first American ascent of Mount Everest occurred. And so to me, thinking about Mount Everest, the top of the world, the very fact that a geologist went up there in 1963, his name was Barry Bishop. He stood on the summit of Mount Everest in 1963, and you know, all of these things were happening at that time, and that's what really got me excited about geology and about science, and that's what made me want to be a geologist, basically. So, you know, I can't go to the moon. I'm not going to go to the moon, but the opportunity to go to Mount Everest, for me, is like going to the moon. It's like going to Mars. It might as well be a different planet. Just the very opportunity to touch Mount Everest, it's an incredible opportunity. And that's what we want to share with you guys over the next 3 months. That's what this Everest Education Expedition is all about. So you guys are getting these kits that are being delivered to your school today that have a bunch of cool things in them. There's going to be a website that you can follow. You can send us emails. In turn, we're going to upload videos and photographs and all kinds of things to the website so you can follow along. Okay? So it's going to be really, really exciting. I hope you guys get into it as much as we're into it. It's really cool to go to a place like Mount Everest with Conrad Anker, who's one of the most famous mountaineers on the planet today. And, you know, just to be able to participate in the climbing is incredible. But then to also take a look at the mountain, you know, through the eyes of a geologist, try and understand the history of the mountain, how it came to be, that's going to be really cool. One last thing, we're going to try and resurvey the summit elevation of Mount Everest. So how high is Mount Everest?
29.
Approximately. Yeah, in the back, white t-shirt.
Approximately 29,190.
Approximately, yeah. Kind of depends on where you get your source. Some places say 29,028 feet, 29,029 feet, 29,035 feet. There's a little bit of controversy about that depending on who's measured it. It's only been measured 3 or 4 times, okay? And so we're going to try and remeasure that summit elevation because we know that the mountain continues to be uplifted. We know that the Himalayas continue to rise up.
Students, please remember to turn in your German books and pick up your food dishes.
Talking to you.
We know 6th grades do go today at lunchtime, and there are messages in the office for Eric Bradkey, Hayden Person, Sydney Rilla, Lauren Winter, Casey Gullett, Betty Delaney, Greg Martell, JT Nesbitt, and the library will be closed during all lunches today due to CRT testing. Thank you.
All right. That was fun, wasn't it? So what was I talking about? Why are the Himalayas still coming up today? Yes? Tectonic plates. What are they doing? They're crashing. Who wants to be India up here? Do you want to be India? You're India. Stand up. You're India. Who wants to be Asia? You're Asia. Stand up. Put your hands out in front of you. Okay. Nope. So you're Asia. You're like China, okay? You have to start against the wall because you came all the way from Antarctica. All the way from Antarctica. This is a big ocean basin called the Tethys Ocean, okay? She's India. She's attached to Antarctica. So you break off and you slowly start moving towards Asia. Millions and millions of years go by. What's happening to this ocean basin? Stop. It's what? What does subduct mean? It goes under, yeah. So if I'm like the Tethys Ocean, I got to kind of crawl down and be subducted. Okay? So we're not going to do that, but keep moving here. Here's Asia. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we're getting close. A little bit more. Ah! A little bit more. Boom. When was boom? How long ago? 50 million years ago, India finally touched Asia. 50 million years ago. So what's happened since then? Put your arms out. Here we go. There you go. That's what's happened since then. Good. Mount Everest, exactly. Thank you. Let's have a hand. Okay. So India continues to push into Asia today. You know, we didn't make them do that, but they'd have to keep crunching into each other. India has smashed 2,000 kilometers into southern Asia. That continues to uplift those mountains. So we're going to go up there with GPS instruments and remeasure that summit elevation. And that'll be a fun thing to do.
Dave, we have a 3-minute.
Wow! What are these? Ice picks? No, I just use this to scratch my head. If I was a dinosaur, what dinosaur would I be? Got to be a T-Rex with these, yeah. These belong to Travis, And he'll tell you about these here in a few minutes. We're going to show you some of the equipment, and we're going to open up the teacher kit here in just a second, okay? One of the things, what was I talking about right before the break? Mountains? Yeah.
Tectonic plates.
Tectonic plates coming together.
50 million years ago that India and
Yeah, the plates coming together 50 million years ago, but right before the break, 3 letters. 3 letters. Ice, no. Starts with a G, ends in an S.
gas.
Gas? I wasn't talking about gas. GPS, yeah. Yeah, GPS. What is GPS? Yes, sir. Very good. What does that mean? What do you position yourself by? Satellites in outer space, yeah, there's a whole bunch of satellites, like 25 of them or so up there in Earth orbit, and we have these instruments that read signals from those satellites, and it'll tell you your position, like how far I am that way and how far I am that way. So it'll tell you your position, but also your elevation, okay? And you guys are going to get a GPS unit. But the ones we're going to have on Mount Everest are actually mounted on a big carbon fiber pole. It's like a big dome on top of this pole, and it's really super accurate. We can measure things down to literally a little tiny centimeter in terms of accuracy. Okay? So when we're doing those GPS measurements, you guys can do those GPS measurements. When we're taking pictures of glaciers, you guys can do that as well here in Montana. With the equipment that you've got in your teacher kit here. And we're just going to share this whole expedition with you guys, okay? So, I've talked enough. Who wants to see what's inside the teacher kit?